Did you know 99% of people waste their lives waiting for a future that already exists? What if the healing, the breakthrough, the transformed existence you've been chasing isn't locked in tomorrow, but pulsing right this instant in a parallel vibration you haven't aligned with yet? Picture a soul navigating a corridor of reflections, each mirroring a unique facet of his being. Some display him shattered, imprisoned by sorrow. Others unveil a radiant, enlightened self, already embracing the destiny he yearns for. He continues forward, believing he's progressing through moments. However, every facet of himself already resides in those reflections. The soul shift is which one he gazes upon. This isn't mere speculation. This is quantum physics. Society insists time flows straight, an unwavering path from yesterday to tomorrow, with the present as a transient dot amid them. But what if that path is merely a handy facade? A basic sketch crafted by the constrained awareness of a human brain designed for endurance, not for revelation. The mind ultimately doesn't perceive moments. It merely retains chains of neural impulses. Your yesterday simply a playback, your tomorrow an unheard melody in a universal symphony. The classical view of moments, rigid, quantifiable, unchanging, crumbles the instant you examine intently. Einstein subtly revealed this more than 100 years back, when he disclosed that moments are relative, not a steady power, but a pliable element that curves with velocity, mass, and scrutiny. But here's the aspect omitted from classrooms. The further you delve into the quantum domain, the more moments start to vanish entirely. In the quantum world, elements don't traverse moments. They linger in conditions of possibility, hovering in an eternal blend of likelihoods. The instant we scrutinize them, the instant we direct awareness, they solidify into one concrete form. In essence, moments don't stream. They solidify via your concentration. What you label the present is merely the juncture of awareness that crosses a specific vibration of possibility. But that's not the staggering revelation. The true surprise is this: every facet of you, the one who triumphed, the one who stumbled, the one who's already liberated, already thrives, not symbolically, not as fantasy, but as actual concrete paths woven into the quantum domain. Your sense of self, your feelings, your convictions. These are the resonators that pick which path you inhabit. You're not forging existence in moments. You're choosing existence via resonance. Yet the watch advances. Yet your schedule crowds. Yet your form matures. So how can moments not thrive if we dwell within them? That's the enigma that ensnares most intellects. But here's the escape. Moments are tangible within a particular resonance, like a simulation with stages. Each path possesses its own laws, its own guidelines. But when you elevate your awareness from one path to another, when you leap resonantly, the guidelines transform. Moments curve. Recollection jumbles. The yesterday rewrites itself, and the tomorrow begins seeping into your present. If that appears unattainable, it's solely because you've been conditioned to view yourself as a static entity navigating a static realm. You've overlooked that your intellect, your vitality, your consciousness, these are non-confined. They're not imprisoned in flesh and structure. They are quantum devices able to solidify endless existences into perception. Your form is the character. Your consciousness is the operator. And moments are the deception that renders the simulation authentic. Ready to shatter the clock? Let's plunge further. Each occasion you summon a recollection. You're not viewing a frozen document in your mind. You're reconstructing the recollection, reigniting the synaptic web, reliving the sentimental surge. In performing so, you're vibrationally synchronizing with the facet of yourself who endured that yesterday. That's why your yesterday persists recurring, not due to fate, but because your concentration is solidifying the identical path repeatedly. The secret is this: your view of moments mirrors your sentimental condition. When you're mired in shame or remorse, moments decelerate. The tomorrow appears distant, inaccessible. But when you're in harmony, when your core, intellect, and form are unified in a condition of awareness, moments evaporate. Minutes seem like instants. You enter stream. And from that stream, you can bound into alternate paths seamlessly. What if your past is optional? Here's the enigma rarely discussed. To alter your tomorrow, you must initially alter the yesterday. Not by redrafting events, but by transforming your resonant connection to it. Because as long as your sense of self is intertwined with the prior facet of yourself, the one who was wounded, forsaken, dismissed. You continue synchronizing with the identical result, but the instant you enter a fresh sentimental resonance, your scrutiny influence solidifies a fresh portion of existence, and in that instant, the yesterday itself remodels. Not in your recollection, in your domain. Now you may ponder, but I recall what occurred. It's tangible. Certainly. But what if that recollection only seems firm because you've been nourishing it with scrutiny? What if your evidence is merely your synaptic cycle forming a circuit so persuasive you forgot it's voluntary? What if restoration isn't about mending the yesterday but selecting a fresh one? This isn't optimistic delusion. It's quantum unity. It's how illumination acts as both fragment and surge until you scrutinize it. It's how linked elements impact each other across moments and distance. It's how your consciousness, when raised beyond straight perception, becomes the designer of moments itself. The true inquiry is not can I flee moments, but which facet of moments am I solidifying right this instant? Because moments are not external to you. It's not a stream you drift upon. It's a domain you emit. You are the emitter, the real, and the display. And every idea, every sentiment, every conviction is picking which spool of existence to activate. And here's the element you're still overlooking. But we'll delve into that soon. The quantum domain doesn't perceive moments as you do. Truth, from its viewpoint, moments are already concluded. And everything you've ever craved already inscribed in a segment that's awaiting your resonance. But more on that shortly. Shut your eyes briefly and envision this. You are drifting in cosmos far past Earth, beyond the gravitational grasp of any world, any celestial body. There are no timers, no dawns, no pulsing of your device. There is no prior day or next day. Only tranquility, only this instant, but not the instant you're accustomed to. This is an immense, multi-layered present, vibrant with boundless possibility, where all results already thrive. This is not fantasy tale. This is the quantum domain. In our daily existence, we regard moments as straight, because we reside in a mind that handles orders. The light ascends. We nourish, we rest. The yesterday seems like a tale etched in rock, the tomorrow like a remote aspiration. But this view isn't a cosmic fact. It's merely the manner the human sensory network arranges data to endure. In the quantum domain, moments are not a path. It's a terrain. Everything unfolds simultaneously. Every potential result, every facet of you, every turn in your narrative already thrives concurrently in an overlay of likelihoods. All futures exist. Which one calls you? Let's plunge further. The quantum domain, as grasped by experts like John Wheeler and David Bohm, isn't merely an ocean of fragments. It's a cohesive domain of wise possibility, a sphere past distance and moments where the yesterday and tomorrow are not set markers, but reachable points of resonance. In this domain, nothing is firm until it's scrutinized. The act of scrutiny, or more accurately, aware consciousness, is what solidifies this boundless mix of possibility into a touchable existence, which implies that the tomorrow isn't approaching, it's awaiting, and the yesterday isn't vanished, it's still resonating in the domain right adjacent to you. Einstein labeled it the deception of moments. He stated that the separation between yesterday, present, and tomorrow is only a tenaciously enduring deception. What he intended is that from the cosmos's angle, moments don't advance. Everything merely exists. It's only when you enter a form, into a mind, into sense of self, that moments start to emerge. Think of it thus. Your consciousness is like a beacon, and moments are the ray. Wherever you direct your concentration, a portion of existence illuminates. But that doesn't imply the other portions are absent. They're just not presently lit. The Double-Slit trial demonstrated something eerily potent. An element acts like a surge, like a domain of pure likelihood until it is gauged. The instant you scrutinize it, it selects a position, an instant, a condition. But here's what most overlook. The act of scrutiny doesn't merely impact the present, it extends into the yesterday. Retrocausality, an occurrence verified in quantum postponed selection trials, reveals that a choice formed in the present can affect how an element acted in the yesterday. Let that absorb. Your present condition of consciousness can remodel what already transpired. Not just how you recall it, but what it was. So what does this signify for you? It signifies you are not advancing through moments. You are picking segments from a quantum collection like a film spool, with every feasible facet of your existence already imprinted. Affection, sorrow, prosperity, defeat, enlightenment, inertia. You are the emitter selecting which segment to illuminate with your consciousness. And here's the secret. You don't require to await moments to deliver you what you crave. You require to align the resonance of the facet of you who already possesses it. This is where knowledge encounters the spirit. Because aligning a resonance isn't a cerebral play. It's a resonant transformation. Your ideas, sentiments, convictions, and vital unity are the adjustment knob. When your core and mind are synchronized, a conditioned brain experts term unity, you become a distinct transmission in the domain, and the domain replies by mirroring the path that aligns that resonance. Neville Goddard uttered this eternal fact when he declared, "Assume the sentiment of the desire achieved, because in the quantum domain, you don't draw what you desire, you draw what you are." Not in character, but in resonance. If you sense scarcity, you synchronize with paths of more scarcity. If you sense tranquility, you vibrate with existences where tranquility already governs your existence. This isn't enchantment. This is mechanism. Your brain doesn't know time, prove it. Let's discuss your mind. The neocortex, which handles reasoning and speech, is moment-confined. But the limbic mind, the sentimental hub, doesn't distinguish between yesterday, present, or tomorrow. When you sense appreciation now for a tomorrow that hasn't occurred yet, your mind doesn't delay to confirm it. It solidifies the perception into your sensory network, altering your physiology, your substances, your magnetic domain. This is why appreciation is so potent in realization. It fools your network into accepting that tomorrow is this instant, and the domain replies correspondingly. You might question, if all paths already thrive, why am I trapped in this one? The reply is straightforward but challenging. You've been inadvertently selecting it through your scrutiny, your convictions, your unaddressed sentiments. You've been solidifying the identical facet of existence repeatedly, believing it was destiny. But now you grasp the fact. You can retreat, broaden the view, and start to solidify a dissimilar result. This is not about fleeing your present existence. It's about entering the grander existence that's already enveloping you. The quantum domain is not distant. It is here this instant, throbbing under your surface, replying to your every idea. Moments in this domain is not a moving belt. It's a resonant entry point, and you possess the key. But before you can reach fresh tomorrows, you must detach from the sentimental weights of your yesterday. You must disrupt the cycles that bind your scrutiny to the known. You must grow conscious of what you're scrutinizing and why. Because every scrutiny is a selection, every idea is an opener, and every sentiment is a transmission to the domain. Now you're starting to perceive that tomorrow is not something you await. It's something you synchronize into, and the path where everything you crave is already tangible. It's not remote. It's just resonating at a resonance you haven't completely recalled yet. But that recall is beginning to resurface. And in the following section, we'll reveal how to solidify the facet of your yesterday that's been securing you in constraint, and how to adjust your essence to the facet of existence that already recognizes your strength. There's a facet of you that is already restored, a facet that already dwells in stream, in prosperity, and profound serenity. They're not in your far tomorrow. They're not merely a vision. They are tangible right this instant, resonating in a parallel path. And the sole barrier dividing you from them is the transmission you're emitting to the domain. This is not about imagining. This is about physics. Quantum bounding or path transforming is not some esoteric trick. It is the immediate outcome of comprehending how your consciousness engages with the domain of boundless possibility. Your sense of self, convictions, sentiments, and ideas, these are not inner ornaments. They are controls. And the domain doesn't reply to what you crave. It replies to what you transmit. Let's break a common deception. Most individuals think they must alter the realm outside to dwell a superior existence. They attempt to repair, pursue, or reorganize the external roles, connections, wealth, hoping something external will reveal a fresh route. But that's reversed because in quantum terms, the outer realm is not the origin. It is the outcome. Your existence is not occurring to you. It's solidifying from you. Think of your present existence as a resonance design, a selection of perceptions you're continually synchronizing into. If you continue transmitting the identical sentimental mark, bitterness, apprehension, uncertainty, you continue solidifying the identical channels. Even if you envision something superior, if your underlying resonance is anchored in the yesterday, the domain will only reflect that back to you. That's why transformation seems difficult. That's why existence appears fixed. But here's the revelation. You don't require to await transformation. You don't require to compel it. You can bound right this instant into a path where the facet of you who already personifies your craving thrives. And to achieve that, you must solidify the resonant yesterday that's been capturing your sense of self captive. Let's render it applicable. The mind doesn't retain moments. It retains designs, synaptic loops connected to sentiments. Every occasion you summon a distressing recollection, you're not returning to a neutral document. You're reliving the resonance of that facet of you. You are sentimentally linked with a path. That means the yesterday you continue replaying isn't just troubling you. It's securing your present resonance. So how do you solidify it? First, you cease nourishing it. Consciousness is the opener. When you become the scrutinizer of your sentimental activations instead of responding, you start to untangle from that facet of you. Your sensory network, once dependent on the known substances of tension or shame, starts to release its hold. That's synaptic flexibility. That's quantum freedom. Next, you personify the facet of you who no longer bears that distress. Not rationally, vitally. You rest with your form. You inhale into your core. You inquire, how would I sense if that facet of me no longer shaped me? Then you rehearse that sensing, not once, not for a second, but repeatedly, steadily, until your physiology starts to align that resonance. The more instants you devote in the condition of the fresh you, the more the prior path starts to solidify, because you're no longer granting it vitality through your scrutiny. This is why restoration is never about mending the yesterday. It's about no longer being the facet of you who was molded by it. Because in the quantum domain, what you cease scrutinizing stops thriving, and what you start to personify becomes your existence. Micro jumps build empires. Start now. Here's where it becomes exquisite. You can generate small bounds daily. Every occasion you select serenity over alarm, lucidity over disarray, awareness over the prior design, you are solidifying a prior facet of yourself and entering a fresh one. That's a bound, and over instance those bounds accumulate. The resonance divide between where you were and where you are widens so intensely, it seems like a distinct existence, because it is. Joe Dispenza states to transform is to ideate superior than your surroundings. But even profound than ideating to bound paths, you must sense superior than your narrative. Because sensing is the tongue of the domain. Idea is the chart, but sensing is the motor. And when your sensing form synchronizes with the transmission of your tomorrow self, the quantum navigator recalibrates immediately. Neville Goddard termed this dwelling in the conclusion. He didn't intend to imagine about your ideal existence. He intended to personify the sentimental resonance of it, as if it were already factual, because in the domain, it already is. The instant you behave as if you are already that facet, not through illusion, but through profound unity, you solidify into that path. Existence doesn't delay, it reflects. But don't mix motion with compulsion. This isn't about performing more. It's about existing distinctly. Your role is not to pursue the fresh path. Your role is to align it. The path is attractive. It pulls to you what you are. And when you cease enacting the yesterday, you reveal entry to existences your prior sense of self could never detect. Now here's the delicate snare. The prior path will attempt to draw you back, not because it's malevolent, but because it's known. Your sensory network may yearn the prior turmoil. Yourself may dread losing its narrative. That's why bounding paths demands consciousness, not flawlessness. You will sense unease. That's an indication you're departing a resonant enclosure. Respect it. Don't oppose it. Inhale through it. Your fresh self is on the opposite side of that opposition. So inquire yourself, who am I prepared to cease being? Which sentimental routines, idea designs, narratives am I prepared to liberate? Not by compulsion, but by selecting a superior transmission. Because the domain is attending. It always has been. It's just been activating the melody you've been transmitting, whether you realized it or not. And the melody of your tomorrow self, it's already activating in the distance, delicate, attractive, awaiting for you to harmonize. But to perceive it completely, You need to grow tranquil enough to synchronize in, and in the following section, you'll uncover how your scrutiny, your most potent, undervalued talent, is the controller that directs which facet of moments you solidify into your this instant. And once you comprehend that, everything transforms. Double-Slit experiment shows observation creates reality. There's a cause your existence keeps cycling. A cause why the identical designs, sentiments, and results seem to return into your perception, no matter how intensely you attempt to liberate. It's not fate. It's not misfortune. It's the dynamics of scrutiny, and it's more potent than you've ever been informed. In quantum physics, there's a concept that demolishes everything we believe we understand about existence. The scrutinizer influence. Elements thrive in an overlay, a condition of boundless possibility, until they are scrutinized. The instant scrutiny occurs, the surge solidifies into a particular result, not prior, not later. The act of concentration forms the occurrence. Now envision that your ideas, sentiments, and anticipations are acts of ongoing scrutiny. That means you're not merely observing your existence, you're picking it. Your scrutiny is not inactive. It is inventive. It is the illumination that solidifies paths into shape. And the domain, that quantum ocean of pure possibility, is impartial. It doesn't assess. It doesn't adjust. It merely mirrors the caliber of your concentration. So if you concentrate on scarcity, you solidify scarcity. If you concentrate on being trapped, you solidify more of the trappedness. And if you venture to concentrate on the existence you crave with sentimental fact and unity, the domain has no option but to arrange around it. Your heart's field is 5,000x stronger than your brain's. Use it. Let's root this in the human perception. Most individuals dwell in a daze of recurrence, not because they lack strength, but because their scrutiny is captured. Wounds from the yesterday, forecasts into the tomorrow, ongoing diversion. All splinter the strength of the scrutinizer. Their vitality is dispersed, their awareness watered down, and so existence becomes a reflection of bewilderment, disorder, or insensitivity. But the fact is, your scrutiny is the controller of moments. Wherever you direct it, the path replies. This is not symbolism. This is domain interactions. Each idea, particularly when loaded with sentiment, dispatches a goggable transmission into the quantum domain. The mind releases electrical designs. The core releases magnetic surges. Together they shape a transmission, and that transmission directs the domain on what to solidify into your perception. This is why being fixed in the yesterday seems so burdensome. It's not that the yesterday is tangible, it's that you've been nourishing it with ongoing scrutiny. Every occasion you narrate the identical tale, sense the identical remorse, or relive the identical distress, you're not recalling. You're reactivating that path, and the domain attends. It always does. But here's the quantum transformation. Once you redirect your scrutiny with purpose, the whole domain reorients. Not slowly, immediately. Not because you compelled transformation, but because you adjusted your consciousness to a distinct segment of likelihood. Imagine your scrutiny as a beam indicator. A myriad entrances stand ahead of you. You've been inadvertently aiming at entrance number 4, the one labeled scarcity, inertia, or bewilderment. But now you halt. You grow tranquil. You sense your inhalation. You reconnect to the scrutinizer, not the sense of self, but the witness beyond the ideas. And you aim the ray toward entrance number 7, the path where you are already liberated, anchored, potent, and as your scrutiny secures in, the entrance reveals. But here's the part most overlook. Concentration without sentimental vitality is feeble. You can rationally declare, I crave to be liberated. But if your sentimental form is still resonating apprehension, you're dispatching a jumbled transmission. The domain replies to unity, synchronization between idea and sensing. That's why awareness alone isn't sufficient. You must sense your concentration. You must become the scrutinizer with core. Brain science supports this. Research on core mind unity revealed that when your sentimental and mental networks synchronize, your form enters a condition of physiological synchronization. In that condition, you become a potent emitter. Instinct owns. Tension evaporates. You become vitally attractive. And the domain, which is always probing for transmissions, mirrors back the path that aligns this raised condition. This is why ancient sages and contemporary experts are finally uttering the identical thing. Awareness is strength, not just ethereal awareness, purposeful consciousness. When you grow aware of where your scrutiny travels, you recapture the capacity to transform paths. You cease responding and you start picking. But here's a delicate fact. Recapturing your scrutiny isn't just about concentration. It's about autonomy. Because when your scrutiny is yours once more, not captured by apprehension, diversion, or distress, you become invulnerable. You cease solidifying paths from injured automatic and start solidifying them from spirit synchronization. The inquiry isn't whether you're forming your existence. You already are. The true inquiry is from what degree of consciousness are you forming it? Because if you scrutinize from apprehension, you solidify constraint. But if you scrutinize from affection, from lucidity, from personified value, the domain reveals like a bloom, flourishing with paths you didn't even realize were feasible. That's not enchantment, that's mechanism. So inhale right this instant, decelerate, sense the burden of your concentration. Inquire yourself, what path am I nourishing with my scrutiny today? Because that selection, while that micro-instant of consciousness is more potent than months of effort. And if you're prepared to solidify the facet of moments where you're trapped, recurring, awaiting, enter in the remarks, "My scrutiny directs the path." Let that be your initial transmission to the domain. Proclamation that you are no longer solidifying your existence from automatic. You are here, awakened, scrutinizing with purpose, like if you're claiming your power. And in the following section, we'll plunge even profound. Because once you comprehend the interactions of scrutiny, the sole remaining is to completely personify the facet of you who's already dwelling in the path you crave. And the instant you do, your realm will transform. There is a cause you can envision your craved tomorrow so vividly. The existence you yearn and the serenity, the prosperity, the liberation isn't a daydream. It's a recall from the domain. A resonant reverberation from a facet of you that already thrives. Not eventually. This instant, you don't imagine your supreme self. You recall them. But here's the enigma. That facet of you isn't something you evolve into over moments. It's something you personify this instant, or you never perceive it at all. Because in the quantum domain, moments don't deliver transformation. Resonance does. And your resonance is not in vague vibration drifting in cosmos. It is a condition of existing, a fusion of your ideas, sentiments, convictions, form substances, and vital stance. Which means you are either transmitting the transmission of your tomorrow self, or you're synchronizing into a yesterday cycle. There is no impartial. Heart-brain coherent studies show biological upgrades in minutes. Let's root this in knowledge. Every sentiment you experience generates a substance flow in the form. Cortisol when you sense tension. Oxytocin when you sense cherished. Adrenaline when you sense endangered. These substances aren't arbitrary. They are envoys. They transport transmissions that strengthen particular synaptic roots. And over instance, those roots become character qualities, senses of self, and ultimately your existence. If every dawn you awaken and sense the identical scarcity, fear, or unease, you're not just enduring a poor start. You are inadvertently transmitting the identical sense of self, informing the quantum domain. This is who I am. And the domain, ever accurate, mirrors back the path that aligns. This is not penalty, it's accuracy. But when you select to disrupt the substance routine, when you awaken and inhale like someone who's already liberated, move like someone who relies the developing, ideate like someone who already possesses, the transmission transforms. Your physiology reprograms. Your magnetic domain shifts. You become a fresh resonant point in the quantum grid. Neville Goddard stated, "You must assume the sentiment of the desire achieved." Because the domain replies not to pleading, not to exertion, but to personified assurance. Not rational declaration, but sentimental synchronization. Here's the fact most don't wish to confront. As long as you continue awaiting to sense distinct after something transforms, you are trapped in a straight snare, a snare of origin and outcome. But in the quantum model, it's reversed. You must sense it before you perceive it. You must become the origin. Your personification is the transmission that curves existence. Actionable steps. 1. Morning embodiment. Wake and breathe as your future self for 5 minutes. Feel their posture, decisions. Example. Walk slowly, shoulders back, smiling inwardly as if abundance flows. 2. Interrupt old loops. Notice pain trigger, pause, ask, what does free me feel? Rehearse new emotion 3x daily. Example, recall rejection, shift to I am whole. Feel chest expand with peace. Gratitude bridge, nightly thank for desired as already true. Example, thank you for the overflowing career, sense joy in body. Let's render it touchable. You crave prosperity. Cease attempting to acquire it. Personify the facet of you who already dwells from surplus. How do they stride, communicate, inhale? What selections do they form? What do they no longer endure? You crave profound affection. Don't pursue it. Personify the facet of you who is already embraced, already complete. What limits do they establish? What vitality do they emit without exertion? You crave to guide, invent, broaden, then enter the path where you already are that inventor. Not by feigning, by recalling. Because the domain doesn't demand evidence. It demands unity. This is not illusion. This is synaptic programming. When you behave as if sufficiently long, your mind starts to reconnect. Your form starts to accept. Your vitality starts to steady. The deeper mind, which directs 95% of your conduct, begins following fresh directives, and then the domain reflects that fresh resonance with astonishing accuracy. But here's the detail. Personification isn't an act. It's not about imitating it. It's about solidifying the divide between who you've been and who you genuinely are. It's a yielding to the fact already inscribed in your spirit. That's why personification is potent. It surpasses the intellect and stimulates the recall of your tomorrow stored in your core. Joe Dispenza instructs that when your mind and core are synchronized, your form becomes the attractor. In that condition of unity, you don't pursue results. You draw them seamlessly. You're not compelling existence. You're streaming with a domain that identifies you, because you're finally transmitting a distinct, steady transmission. But personification is uneasy initially. Why? Because the prior self will oppose. It will murmur uncertainties. It will lure you back into the known, not because it's wicked, but because it's fearful. Your sensory network is dependent on the familiar, even if the familiar is distress. This is why personification is not a single choice. It's a rehearsal, an instant-to-instant commitment. Every occasion you sense the apprehension and select trust. Every occasion you detect the design and select awareness. Every occasion you solidify into the this instant instead of awaiting for later. You quantum bound. You enter the path where your tomorrow is no longer a dream. It's in stimulation. And here's what no one informs you. Your personification doesn't just transform your existence. It transforms the shared domain. Every occasion you select unity. You simplify it for others to achieve the same. You release a transmission into the shaping domain, a plan of likelihood that others can synchronize into. Your personification becomes an entrance, and that is the call of this instant. Not to continue awaiting, desiring, questioning, but to begin dwelling this instant, as if the existence you yearn for has already reached, because it has. It's awaiting in the domain, awaiting for a resonance align, awaiting for you. And in the ultimate section, we'll carry this to its complete resolution. Because if moments are not straight, if paths are tangible and solidifiable, if personification is your super ability, then what does that signify for the manner you dwell, invent, and contribute from here? The reply may astonish you. There is an instant, delicate, potent, permanent. When a person ceases dwelling in moments and begins dwelling as resonance, it's the instant you no longer inquire, when will my tomorrow arrive? And instead proclaim, I am already dwelling it. It's the instant when straight moments evaporate and you awaken as a aware engager in a multi-layered existence that's been awaiting for you all along. That instant is this instant. You've perceived the deception for what it is. You've drawn back the veil on the stage of moments. The notion that yesterday and tomorrow are distinct, that transformation demands exertion, that you are confined by a path you didn't select. But the fact has been murmuring all along. Moments are not a route. It is a reflection. And when you transform internally, existence must comply. You are not dashing toward your tomorrow anymore. You are becoming the facet of you who recalls how to solidify it into the this instant. And you are not solitary. There is a worldwide transformation occurring not in authorities or innovations, but in consciousness itself. Persons all over the globe are awakening from the days of straight moments and entering the domain as inventors, not sufferers. They are no longer seeking approval to transform. They are scrutinizing fresh paths, personifying fresh resonances, and observing their existences convert from the inside out. This is not a daydream. This is a shift of quantum essences, people like you, who are recalling that their scrutiny, their personification, and their sentiment are the controls of invention, who are realizing that restoration isn't a procedure through moments. It's a transformation in recognition, that the tomorrow is not an objective to attain, but a condition to synchronize into, and that moments are not the master of existence. It is its aid. Now let's secure this fact into your form. Inhale profoundly. Shut your eyes. Sense your souls on the surface, the pull, the mass, the awareness. Now inquire yourself without delay. What facet of me already dwells the existence I crave? Sense them. Perceive their stance. Hear their ideas. Detect their resonance. Now inhale them into your form. Not with compulsion, with yielding. Inhale their assurance. Exhale your opposition. Again and again. With each inhalation, the gap between you and them evaporates until there is no division, because there never was only scrutiny dividing you from the resonance already inscribed in your domain. This is the core of path transforming, not moment voyage, not flight, but unification of the tomorrow you into the present form. And as you ascend from this instant, you are distinct delicately, entirely. You have solidified the notion of someday and entered the resonance of this instant. From this place, all selections transform. You don't inquire, what should I perform? You inquire, what does this facet of me already select? And when you synchronize your motions with that reply, the domain replies with amazing accuracy, because now you are not compelling existence. You are streaming with a superior tune of yourself. And if you sense something awaken within you through this voyage, a recalling, a lucidity, a silent rush of strength, it's because your tomorrow self has been directing this whole procedure. They are not distant from you. They are via you, murmuring, prodding, awaiting. And if you're prepared to plunge profound, to secure this resonance, dominate the interactions and become an autonomous guide of paths, I call you to delve the next stage of this voyage. There's a potent asset crafted exactly for this instant, a manual termed Awaken Your Quantum Power. It's not just concept, it's a living conveyance, an applicable chart to assist you transform your recognition, broaden your domain, and solidify the existence you've long detected was feasible. You'll discover the connection in the fixed remark below. This isn't a light study, it's a pledge, a transmission to the domain that you are prepared to dwell from the inside out. Because this shift isn't about more material, it's about more unity. And if you've reached here, it's because something within you already grasps. You are not a straight essence. You are not pursuing moments. You are solidifying paths through awareness, through strength, through accuracy. And the true transformation starts the instant you cease inquiring when and begin personifying who. This is your moment not to await but to recall. And we're here with you in the domain this instant. And I embody my future to activate